All right. We'll see who joins us. So I have hit the go live, and we're just going to check and see. I don't see that we've got anybody attending right now. Pull up the chat, see if that's working. I don't see any there, so we'll. I'm curious if anyone's out there. Give me a chat. Tell me hello. Let me know that you are actually seeing this. Oh, Martha, hello. How's it going? Welcome. So now I'm going to try to type back to you. Let me know if you get this. So do you see the host saying hi there? Hey, Maddie. Coleman's here. Greetings. Hey, Neil. All right. So the restream's showing me no eyeballs, but yet you guys are there. So do me a favor. If you go to the event on LinkedIn, one of the comments that I made, I actually put the URL for this restream. There's a Restream.io URL that you can click on. If somebody would like to, hey, Judy and Andrew, greetings. Good to see you guys. If you can click on that link, that should fire up the Restream platform, and I should see you as a requester to join the live stream with me. And I won't make you stay on. Although, Coleman, you're never one to be shy to come on and join the conversation. So if you want to give that a shot. But again, if you go to the actual event for the happy hour, you'll be able to actually scroll down. Ooh, I see one. There we go. Let's see. Who do we got? We got Matthew.
How am I doing here, Eric?
Boom. Look at you, buddy. Nice.
Figured it
Matthew for
out.
the win. The newly appointed CEO of Bankers Helping Bankers.
I'm here. I
How's it
finally
going,
made
man?
it.
Although I think this is the first time I've seen you without a cowboy hat.
It is. It's probably scary.
It is.
You had
So
no idea how big my forehead was, did you?
I'm not gonna lie, I had no idea.
You're surprised. You're like, that is that a 5 head or a 6 head? Which one is it?
Cool. Well, Holly has been brave enough to click the link, although her camera's not live. So I don't know if you just don't have a camera or if you're not going to come up. But hi, Holly. Can you hear us? So let's see. Martha said she has to drop off early. My buddy Jim Perry is here. So Maddie's saying awesome new format. So I'm going to go with it. Now, we do have the ability, and I think, and I don't know, Maddie, if you want to pop over to actually check out our Facebook page or even go to the LinkedBanker YouTube channel. If yours truly did this the right way, we should be going live on those platforms as well. So I don't know. LinkedIn user, I can hear you and my camera is on. I think LinkedIn user might be Holly, if I'm not mistaken, although it doesn't identify as you. So maybe there's a problem going on with that. So looks like she's bouncing out and going to come back. So, well, it's 5:03. And now that I got a co-host, I'm not going to let you leave me, Matt. You're going to stick up here and we're going to hang out for a bit. This is the new format. I'm just kidding. If you need to bail, feel free. Now that I know the size of your forehead, I can sleep well at night. But this is the new format of the happy hour, and still a little bumpy, as you can all tell, but we're seeing some chats, which is awesome. And I appreciate those of you that are live chiming in and saying hello. This is really great. So these LinkedBanker happy hours had previously been done on the live audio feature for LinkedIn, which was pretty awesome and pretty easy, very much like a Clubhouse event where you could run it all directly right from within LinkedIn, right directly from the app itself. LinkedIn made the decision they didn't want to do that anymore. And I had a Restream account from days gone by when I was doing some live streaming and some live video. So LinkedIn said, hey, you need to start using streaming services. And so now our happy hours are no longer just audio events. We can actually see people, and you've got the link. I think I need to figure out a better way of making that link available, and maybe we need to post that. And Maddie, while you're doing double duty, those of you that haven't met Madison Barner on our team, she's our community manager and our director of project management, and she's awesome. If you could snag that URL from the LinkedIn post and maybe throw that up into the comments on YouTube and the comments on Facebook, if anybody happens to find us over there, they could jump in like what Matt's done and join us. But we're going to use Restream now, and that means we can get seen. It also means I'm probably not going to be able to run these live audio events while I'm driving my Jeep back from meetings, because it was really easy to do that and multitask. So this requires a little bit more thinking and planning on my part, but these actually are going to be kind of cool and give us an opportunity to chit chat. So put the link in the chat. Let me see if I can find that link. Hold on one moment. That's a good idea. See, Coleman, I'm glad that you showed up so you can keep me honest here. So
Looks like Neil put it in there for you, Eric.
Yep, there you go, Neil. You're the man. Cool. So if you want to come up on stage and join Matt and me and have a little chit chat, just click that link and you guys can go ahead and hop in, and that'll be great. So happy hours, if you have not joined one of these before, the intent of these through the LinkedBanker was initially to bring LinkedBanker members, which is our mentoring community, together outside of our normal monthly mastermind meeting. And just with more of a casual, hey, let's not have an agenda. Let's just get together and talk. And if something really cool happened at your bank or in life over the last month and you just want to boast and chat about it, or something's not going right, you got the ability to do that. If there's anything else that you want to talk about, a question, it's just no structure. And I'm looking at the navigation menu here and trying to get my bearings as it relates to all the menus, and I've got bubbles and things popping on me, so a little discombobulated. But no set specific agenda, no presentation, no particular things that we really want to or need to chat about. It's just figuring out a way to network with all my friends in the banking world that also love banking, that love technology, that love innovation, and just give us a way for us to hop on and chat and all be together. So looks like we've got some folks. Boom. We got the FinTech Cowgirl showing up. So, hey, Laurel, Coleman's here. Neil's here. Excellent.
Howdy.
Howdy. So,
I'm only here to game time, Eric.
good. I appreciate that. So, and then you're out. So, my sister-in-law and her husband and my niece decided to take last-minute tickets and head down to Miami. So they're right there with you. Penn State or Irish?
No, my two daughters are graduates of Notre Dame.
Gotcha. As I look at your shirt, it looks a little Irish. So
yeah. I wasn't smart enough to go there.
Yeah, I hope you got a Guinness handy. Although this is a Guinness.
Actually, I have a Shiner. That'd be a Texas beer.
Full of Guinness candy. It doesn't have Guinness actual beer in it, but the candy tastes kind of like the beer. So anyway, looks like Holly got her camera working. Hey, Holly. Good to see you. Can't hear you yet, but I can.
Finally. Oh my gosh.
You are.
Frustrating.
Excellent. Cool. So, all right. Well, now that I think and I'm reassured and I'm taking some deep breaths, it's not just me sitting here going, why isn't anybody talking? Now that we've got some other folks joining, we'll kind of go around the horn. If you have a thought or a topic or anything that you want to chat about, again, if you are in the audience and you want to come up and say, hey, feel free. I think I can bring up to 10 people on stage with me so you can bounce around. But anybody got big plans for 2025, strategic ideas, anything cool happen over Christmas, New Year's, banking related? Who's got something they want to share and talk about?
Well, Eric, I'm pretty sure you can guess what I want to talk about.
Let me guess. Something CD related, maybe
You're a genius. You're just a genius.
I got my crystal ball going right
Yeah,
here.
so I posted a LinkedIn poll on redeemable CDs.
What the
and
hell is a redeemable CD? I don't even know what you're talking about.
it is the opposite of a callable CD.
What's a
So-
callable CD?
So CDs are things that have been around since 1963, before most of you were born.
Is that what they used to put music on?
Some did, yeah. But the certificate of deposit is something that we all think, wow, that's grandpa's thing. And now it's being modernized. And the redeemable CD is a CD that kind of works like a money market account, where every day there's a redeemable value rather than you got to wait to maturity. So I posted a poll on it recently, and I had a good interaction with Eric. That's why I knew he would know what I was talking about.
Yes.
And would really encourage people to take a look at it. It's just been a lot of fun. We waited until interest rates started going back down, because what do bankers want to do with expensive CDs? Get rid of them.
Yep.
Well, if you've got a 5.5 and it has another year on it, why don't you offer them a bonus for early redemption? That's what the system does. Systematically offers bonuses for early redemption to high yield CDs. So I wanted this august audience to be aware of it. Eric, Eric, in my opinion, is the epitome of somebody who knows what's going on in the world of banking. And so when I presented it and he came back, he says, I'm not qualified to respond. I'm going, well, then I've said it wrong, because if there's anybody qualified to know what people are going to like in banking, it's going to be Eric. But he thought it seemed so technical. And I'm thinking, well, I need to make it simpler. It's really just giving people the opportunity to see what their account's worth. And if they want to take it early, they can. So thank you for allowing me to share it. It's on LinkedIn. You can go out and look for my name and find it as a poll out there on LinkedIn. So
Cool.
Thanks, Eric.
Yeah, that's absolutely. And, I kind of joke, it's not something that you hear a lot of banks talking about. And so squirrel brain Eric here was like, I need to digest it quick. And it seems like lately, if it doesn't have the initials AI in front of it, it doesn't make it past my eyeballs into my gray matter, because that seems like what I'm consuming so much today. But there is a world outside of artificial intelligence and digital marketing that is very important, and being innovative and coming up with new products and services. Do you see that the big banks are doing things like this, or is this an opportunity for the smaller regional and community banks to be a little bit more innovative in the types of deposit products that they offer their customers? And is there some education necessary to the average customer that's looking for a 5-year CD paying X, and they know if they take the money early, they're going to pay a penalty, and that's maybe all that they really know about it?
Yeah. No. So there's a lot there to unpack, but
There is. I do that a lot.
yeah, you're good at that. But basically, it doesn't take a lot of explanation for the consumer. What they know is CDs suck.
Yeah.
I don't really want to lock up my money, and I don't really want a low yielding money market account. So I want something in between. Well, why don't we give you an account that every day has a market value, and if you want to take it, you can. So the consumer actually gets it pretty quickly.
Okay.
You know who the biggest barrier is?
Bankers.
We have never done that before.
Oh, yeah.
And so for the banker, the fact that they've never done it before is validation to not do it.
Yep.
And so what's going to happen, and I will name drop here a bit. I'm sure a few of you know who Gene Ludwig is.
Yep.
Founder of Intrify. So I got a meeting with Gene some time ago, not long ago, and I explained what I just told you all. And the guy who invented reciprocal deposits asked me one simple question and then had a comment. His simple question is, how are you planning to get paid on this? And I told him. He said, oh, this is going to be contagious, because I'm not trying to extract billions of dollars for this idea. And he said, once it gets in the marketplace, it's going to be contagious.
Yep.
That's what we're working on, is starting the contagion. And we think 2025 is the year.
You might want to be really careful with that marketing strategy, just given the whole COVID thing. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Good point. Good point. Maybe I'll need to reword that, Eric. See, I love talking to you, sir.
Well, let me ask you a question. As a former CFO,
Yes, sir.
you're generally always redeeming at a premium, not a discount, correct?
Well, the offer would be extended for whatever the market value is. So
So it could be a
rates have,
discount.
so if rates have gone up, just like a bond, it would have an unrealized loss.
Correct.
But when rates fall, it has an unrealized gain.
Okay.
So we never advise depositors you should or should not take the redemption, because the redemption obviously is going to cause them to be in a lower rate environment to reinvest, just like a treasury.
Sure.
But basically what we're doing is we're taking, it's still hard for me to believe that CDs still have the structure that they had in 1963 with a 6-month early withdrawal penalty. That's ultimately the problem, is that we operate like we don't have any calculators. We don't have any computers. We just have to do it manually. Well, today you can calculate the present value of a cash flow like that. And that's all we're doing, is calculating the present value of that CD cash flow at today's discount rate. And there's a bid-ask spread. You're asking great questions as a CFO. There's a bid-ask spread. Hey, we'll pay 4.5 on a new CD today. But if you want to redeem it, we're going to discount it at 5%. So we make a little money here in the process.
So 2 follow-up questions. Am I reporting that as 1099 interest income, or is that a capital gain? And then the second thing is regulatory. That's almost a demand deposit now and not a time deposit flowing into a bucket into my asset liability.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the classification on that? Good point.
So you look at the regs. The regs used to be very different on CDs. Now the reg to be qualified as a CD is that in the first 6 days, if they withdraw, they have to have at least 7 days of interest.
Right.
We put that right in the disclosure. But after the 7th day, you can do whatever you want. You can pay them a bonus. You can charge them a big fee. You can do whatever you want, just as long as you disclose it. You had 2 questions there. I answered one of them.
The second question was, from a regulatory standpoint, what bucket does it go in for asset liability, given that it's almost a demand deposit now?
Yeah. So it actually, from a risk standpoint, is much less risky than the fixed arbitrary penalty. As some of you know, when interest rates were really low and the 3-month penalty was on them, if anybody really paid attention, you could refinance CDs and take out the like $100 penalty and then reinvest your $100,000 and make so much more money. The risk that the bankers had was in the current penalties. This is a market value penalty. So it actually protects the bank, and they are still classified as CDs. They're not callable by the bank, but they're redeemable by the depositor, but the bank sets the market value. But we do cap, and here's the other thing. We tell our client, you never want to charge more than your classic penalty. So if you have a 12-month penalty for early withdrawal, cap the redeemable so it's never worse. And that way your front line can say, well, you don't have to buy the redeemable CD, but it's always better if you want to cash out early compared to the classic CD, because the classic CD has a fixed penalty. The redeemable has a penalty only if rates rise, and it will never be greater than the traditional CD. And everybody who sees this ends up going, wow, I'll never buy another traditional CD in my future. So great questions. Thank you for those. And we've been doing this since 2011. We just have done it in really small locations, small markets, just so we have FDIC, the Federal Reserve, everybody's looked at this. It's not new, even though it looks new.
Yeah. Cool.
All right.
Good questions, Coleman. I'm glad we had someone with better financial CFO chops than me on the.
You know, Eric, my line is, I wasn't a good CFO. That's why I got promoted to CEO.
Well, that's why I didn't really last long on the teller line.
Right.
The accounting joke I like to say is everything I did was divisible by 9. So if you have any sort of accounting background, you'll get that.
Your transposition.
Exactly. if you don't know what a transposition is, that joke's going to go right over your head. But yeah, so cool. Well, thanks, Neil, and thanks, Coleman. So good stuff. Who else has got a topic that they want to toss out for discussion? And we've got some people in the chat as well. I know Chris. I just posted another link to the Restream. This one's got studio.restream with it. I found that in my dashboard that's got way too many bells and whistles for even ADHD Eric here to pay attention to. So see if that one works, and you might be able to come up on stage with us. So, but who else has got something they want to talk about?
Eric, I just talk in general. Are people seeing that there's kind of a resurgence of a positive attitude in the banking industry? Like things are going to be better than they were the last 4 years. And not to get political, but there's definitely, I mean, we're getting more calls than we've ever had before in the last couple of years. And I think a lot of people are thinking the economy is going to be better. The opportunities are going to be better. My opportunity as a bank is going to be better.
Yep.
And I think that's good for one thing, but it's
absolutely.
Also, I'm just curious if other people are seeing that in their respective silos.
Yeah. Well, I'm always a glass is half full kind of guy. So I'm going in guns a-blazing, and I'm excited for 25. And I think it's going to be a great year. Not that 24 was a bad year, but it did have a little funk to it. And there were some people that, pulled their advertising and did some other stuff that maybe they weren't doing before. And I think we're seeing signs that that's going to pick back up again, at least from our side as an agency and a service provider to the banking space. So, but what do you guys think? We've got Holly, you're a banker. What is your vibe? What's your feel inside of the institution? Is things looking more positive? You getting more excited?
Well, we have the banking as a service side, and we're very excited on the growth on that side. On the community bank, we still struggle, I think, similarly to everyone else. We're all competing for deposits, and we need the deposits to do the loans. So the deposits are still, top of mind, but it's very difficult to get them.
Yeah. And in a decreasing rate environment where you can't lure 4, 4.5%, 5% for deposits and get people excited, got any silver bullets or secret? Maybe you don't want to divulge if you figured that out, but that always seems to be the hardest thing, because a checking's a checking. It's a checking until somebody really drives you nuts and makes you mad. The impetus to change just isn't there for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a challenge, and I think in banking we all offer the same things, and we all generally have the same messaging. It might look a little bit different, but we all kind of have the same messaging. It's I believe it's the ones that are standing out doing different things and offering more customized or niche options for people that are going to do better. But community banking has a way to go, I think.
Yeah. Do you see any advantage or exploring anything as it relates? I know they used to talk about relationship pricing or bundling or, going after that wallet share and rewarding the total relationship so that you kind of level up all of the accounts. The more relationships you get, the better it is across the board. Is that anything that you've tried or thought about? Or
I think that would be a benefit. If we have our community bank doesn't offer full community banking services, and so we're not really able to do that at this time, and it might take a little bit longer to build that up. But I think that would be a benefit. I know over the past couple years, and some of you might have even experienced this as well, we're getting more competition for deposits, not just from banks and credit unions, but from investment houses, where the share of wallet is different now than it was 5 years ago. People have 10 banks now, and they are now banking with multiple different companies that are easier to do transactions with. You can move money faster than you ever could before. So keeping it is a bigger challenge. It's going out the back door to places that can take it quickly. And getting new customers and getting those deposits and then retaining them is more challenging, I think, than it's been before.
Yeah, money market accounts have just grown dramatically. $2 trillion of increase in money market mutual funds, and annuities have grown.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the bankers are giving up a market share to all of these other entities. Hey, Chris.
Chris made it.
My firewall. That was my firewall. Don't tell the IT guy.
Okay, there you go.
When you think about wallet share too, you're not just thinking about your bank. You're thinking about Apple. You're thinking about the Cash App. You're thinking about Edward Jones, and many people have 10 now. And so
how much
sharing
money
the
is
wallet,
sitting in my Starbucks app waiting for me
right?
to buy coffee?
Absolutely. And so the pie is just getting smaller, but the pieces are getting more plentiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't have a solution, but if anybody else does, then that would be great.
Yeah. Yeah. Chris, we got a CEO in the room. I don't know if you heard the question about, just the feel and the vibe, the positivity maybe coming back into banking after last year. You got any thoughts from your spot sitting on top of the organization and getting the sense of employees and other CEOs and other bankers you're talking to?
Yeah, I don't know about the other ones. Part of we get beat down, I think, as much as the regulation deal as much as anything.
Yeah.
But we had a seminar. We had our asset liability come to a seminar, a bunch for our customers, month or probably into September. And, I was doing question and answers. There was so much uncertainty from the election and the stuff that, they're just scared a little bit or frozen. So I could kind of see from that, that kind of just spreads, right? From when your customers start getting more positive, you get more positive, and it just starts rolling from there.
Yeah.
You could tell I was a little surprised because, sometimes my bias is, we don't make excuses and they really don't care, I didn't hit my number because of the president. Is like, well, it sounds like a very good excuse. But it's a reality that affects other people and how they think. And yeah, it's kind of a real deal.
Cool. Yeah.
Eric, think of optimism too. You, Laurel, Chris, y'all were with me at the roundup.
Yep. I was just going to go to you. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, think about this. y'all three can testify, right? So the day before was election night. Wednesday night, is when the roundup kicks off.
Yep.
And when I walked into that room on Wednesday night, I saw smiles, I saw excitement. And I don't know, I just stay on the political side of it, but I think what it was is what Chris just said. It was all the uncertainty about what's about to happen, right?
Yeah.
And I think all of a sudden we knew Tuesday night what I don't think that anybody thought was going to happen. Wednesday morning, we saw optimism. And my inbox is blown up with banks all over the U.S. They're like Holly. They're wanting to know more about banking as a service. They're going to get involved. If they already are involved, they're starting to dial that in as to what kind of fintechs they're looking for. Direct digital banks like a redneck bank. And I will tell you, at mid 2024, I wasn't hearing that. I was hearing, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. I'm not going to spend money. I don't want to go do anything. I'm nervous. I'm educating myself. I'm learning. Now what I'm hearing is banks are saying, hey, let's go. Let's figure these things out. But it was all that night at the roundup. We heard the optimism. We saw the smiles. We saw this big lift off of everybody's shoulders. So I think we're seeing that in 25 now.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, I don't think, obviously the people that wanted Trump to win were probably the ones that were smiling the most, but even those that maybe weren't rooting for him, like you said, at least the uncertainty was over. There was no what's going to happen? I don't know. We at least now know what's going to happen, whether that's good or bad. At least you know the answer. And, I'm sure Coleman can attest to this now that, from a sales perspective, I'd rather be told no right off the bat instead of being like back and forth. Is this going to happen? Is this not going to happen? Having the answer is very much a relief. And so I think we got that, obviously. So we got a couple of other people that have jumped up. So Dane also posted some thoughts and a question. Been on the audio happy hour a couple of times. You missed the last one. I was actually curious. You were the one that was going to work with my buddy Chris on these AI agents, these little spacemen, and he was going to pay, and you were going to have it just essentially rule your life. So I did talk about you, but you weren't there to share the story. So I thought we could maybe close the loop for anybody that was on that discussion. Plus, you did post a couple of questions into the chat about banking management of email marketing and succession and pain points. So yeah. So let's address the first AI one. And for those of you that weren't with us in, I guess it was November, there was some discussion around a platform. Remind me, do you remember what it was called? Started with an S, I think.
Yeah.
If you're on social
Okay.
media and you've done anything related to AI, you likely have seen these little cartoon character spacemen and space women with funky bubble helmets and whatnot that show up that are individual little agents that can do stuff for you. And for like $70 a month, you could have these agents, virtual space people, writing content, doing analysis, scheduling things. And so in that discussion on in November, Dane and Chris went back and forth and said, I'll pay for it. You try it. Let's give this a shot. And so that hopefully gives those that weren't part of the November discussion a little bit of backstory. So I'll let you take it from there.
Okay. So I feel like you really built this up. And to be fair, we didn't actually do it yet. But it's called
No.
I believe it's called Sintra. But I'll tell you
Centro,
what.
yes.
Yeah. So I will tell you some other information that's related. In the type of work I'm doing now, the boss I'm working with now said to me, hey, do you know how to use, she called it a GPT. And I'm like, what do you think that is? And she said, so check this out. You can train a bot to basically be an expert in something for you. And she showed me how to, like, if I want to learn about any kind of like marketing and I want it to be pulling in from this author and this influencer, and it's about this industry and then this type of like marketing or something, I can design an AI that will become an expert in it, and then I can ask it questions. And then you can do several versions of it if you want, like different types of perspectives and this and that. So one thing that I've been doing is that I actually have a new kind of a role right now, and that's why I asked about email marketing. It's for an agency. It does all email marketing, mostly retail and online retailers. And so, like, to understand like why certain metrics are coming up the way they are, or why like send volumes are landing the way they are, and why suppression is happening a certain way, I've been like consulting these bots that I've designed. So that's something that has been kind of helpful. And it's helped to just like open up my perspective on different things just faster than just reading and listening to hundreds of podcasts.
Yeah, absolutely. So I might have missed it. What platform are you using to write these bots, or are you just going into Chat GPT and using the custom GPT? Or
yes, it's in Chat GPT, and the name of it is Sora. Sora.
Sora, that also sounds very much like the Chat GPT video creation tool.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah. So, and while you're looking that up, I did find the Sintra.ai. If you go and pull that link up, don't leave me. So stay here, do it later. But you'll see that there's a little dude peeking over the edge of your page break there with the little space helmet. So that was the Sintra X kind of item. I will tell you, while you look that up, one of the things that I'm using a lot from an agent kind of training learning perspective is, I think I've talked about Notebook LM. I've certainly posted on LinkedIn about it and other platforms. If you've not played with it yet, I guess those of you, anybody like played with Notebook LM, show hands. Anyone? So notebooklm.google, that is the platform that you may have heard some of these two-party audio podcast services actually do for you. The cool part about that is you can load multiple sources of information. So to Dane's point, if you are interested in learning things about email marketing, you could go find resources and research papers over at Constant Contact and MailChimp and HubSpot, find all sorts of really good stuff related to email marketing strategies, load all those up as resources inside of Notebook LM. And then you have the ability to create like a briefing document. You can create Cliff's Notes. You can generate an audio overview that will look at all of those sources of information, and it will create a 2-person podcast that then a guy and a gal virtually created will have a discussion about all of the information that you've shared. And the other cool parts about that now is you can provide some custom instructions. So you can direct the hosts, like they're humans, the AI hosts. You can direct them to structure their conversation with a particular goal. So, for example, Dane's brand new in a role, trying to learn marketing and email and strategies and whatnot. You could load all those up, and then in your instructions, when you create the audio overview, you could go in and say, "I'd like for you to create a podcast, or I'd like for you to discuss this, keeping in mind that I've now taken on a new role with a marketing agency, and I'm going to be responsible for deploying and creating email marketing campaigns." So you give it some of that backstory, and then that backstory is then used when the hosts actually create it. And then you give it probably 3 or 4 minutes, and voila, you've got 2 people talking back and forth. And you also now have the ability to interrupt them. So while they're talking about it, you could go in and you could press the little button that says interrupt or comment, or I think something like that. And then you could ask a question, and the host will say, "Ooh, looks like we got a question. Yeah, what can we do for you?" And then you can say, "I'm really interested in learning more about how HubSpot or how SharpSpring or how MailChimp leverages or takes care of things like canned spam and unsubscribes. Can you do maybe a little deep dive on that for me?" And the hosts will still use all the information that you've loaded into the platform, but they'll step away from their normal script and they will answer your question just like you interrupted them, knowing the information that's in the resources that's there. Makes it super interactive and super easy to go through that comprehension and that learning process. And it is free. There is no charge whatsoever to use Notebook LM. It's absolutely mind-blowing. It's really, really cool. So give that a shot. So as I say all of that, have you been able to track anything else down inside of your ChatGPT, Dane?
No, I'm sorry. I misspoke. It's not Sora. I'm trying to find what I was talking about.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do a quick mic check. It looks like Coleman may have bounced in order to head to the game. Coleman, I see your camera's off. I'm just going to go. Oh, there you are.
No, I was just listening to Sports Center, but you're back.
Gotcha. I just still trying to figure out if the camera's not on. Does that mean they're still there? I know Laurel's still with us because she didn't have a camera when she first joined us. And Josh is there. So I just want to make sure to say hey to Josh. He is a frequent flyer here on our happy hours. So
hello.
Welcome to the new format, my friend.
It's different. It's changed.
Yeah,
I don't like it.
I don't like it. Change. Can't we go back to like 1964 or something like that, right, Neil? Something tells me they weren't doing this in 1964.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're right on that.
Probably not. So, but anywho, so I guess maybe I'll jump ahead beyond the email stuff. Dane, you also posted success or pain points. Or no, wait a minute. That was probably, I was reading that as successing, like successor, like success in planning, successor planning.
Oh.
But maybe that was all success and pain points on email marketing. I would say probably the biggest pain point that I personally have for email marketing is when we get an extract from a client that wants to put it into the marketing platform. I don't know why this is still the case, but every single core provider, when you extract information, puts everything in all uppercase. And you can't You can't do like Dear Matthew and have Matthew in all uppercase, because then in my email I'm screaming at poor Matt and I need to proper case that. So you got to jump through some hoops with Excel and figure all that out. That's probably one of the bigger challenges, making sure your first name, second name, you've got that in separate fields so you can make sure that it's personalized. The days of dear customer are gone. We have to make sure people know that we're really talking to them, incorporating it in the subject line as well as in the body. And then I would say making sure that in email, you give your email recipients the ability to tell you what they want. So if you're still downloading all 5,000 email addresses from your online banking system and blasting everybody the same message, I might not really be interested in college planning and college funding and preparing my kids to go to school if I don't have kids. My golden retrievers are not going to college and I don't have to worry about that. But I would love to know about my bank's digital banking solutions. I'm a small business owner. You might want to know I'm going to build a house this year. Those are things that if you can tell me that, give me the ability to turn on and off the content that I want and mute the content that I don't. And that's going to make it a whole lot more relevant for you to be able to cut through the noise and actually get read in the inbox as opposed to just getting shuffled to the side. So I don't know if anybody else has got some thoughts on email or strategies, but those are a couple of things that I would toss out there.
Couldn't agree more on the uppercase out of core systems. And it's not isolated to the banking industry. For whatever reason, all of these platforms more or less haven't figured out that we don't want to scream at people.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, well, Craig is with us, says go Irish. So you should like that, Coleman. I'm going to try something here. So Andrew, I'm going to experiment with you, my friend, but I'm going to click the show button. Let's see what happens. Ooh, look at that. Isn't that fancy? Let's see what Andrew has to say. And like me, Andrew was a little verbose, so he got the ellipse there, blah, blah, blah. So I'll continue. But interested in feedback around focus groups. Clients and prospects, have any attendees had good experience using focus groups to assess the needs of markets, gather feedback on specific products, services, and offerings? So that is a really good post there. When I was at the bank, we actually had regional like customer advocate groups, and they weren't just customers. We went out to the hospital, the community foundation, the influential organizations within the communities that we served. And even if they weren't customers of ours, we asked them to sit on our groups, on our boards, our local boards, to help give us feedback. And some of them ended up becoming customers because we cared enough to ask and their bank wasn't. So it was a nice little acquisition tool. But that provided us with some really good feedback. We did compensate them $50 per meeting. So might need to be $100 today. But it gave us a good opportunity to be able to have, we did them quarterly. We had a set of questions that we sent them out ahead of time so that they could prepare some thoughts. And those are pretty good. So, but yeah, anybody got thoughts on what Andrew's got there?
Might just talk about a little bit about the ones we did.
Sure.
We did 2 sets of them. One was based off of, like, we had our asset liability guy talking from Darling, talking about the economy and things are happening. And that was pretty well received. And part of it because of the uncertainty before the election. After he did that, we actually took him through, we broke him up in small groups. I had a banker at each table. And basically, I'm trying to think of the questions I asked now. But it's almost like, where do you see your, so I tried it, we called it, it's almost kind of putting a positive frame of where you want to be, because sometimes regardless of what's happening, if you think you're running your farm or your business, regardless who won the election, you need to be successful.
Yeah.
And so how do you kind of get, so the goal was like, okay, all this stuff and everybody's got to deal with the repercussions or whatever. But then, let's go talk about like, what you're going to look, if 5 years from now, when you succeeded through all this stuff, what does your business look like? And then what problems did you solve to get there? And they kind of did a really good job of identifying kind of really, I won't say the biggest fears or the biggest obstacles our business customers have in making their dreams come true. So then for us, the next step, so there's some pretty common themes. So our next step was, we're doing kind of a custom mailing on that group of, this book here. But Vern Harnish wrote a book called Scaling Up based on the Rockefeller habits. How do I grow my business? How do I run my business? Certain deals. So we did that as a follow-up, and now we'll go follow-up call on customers, call them one-on-one, and just like, you identify, and basically we have notes from what each person said that their biggest issues was. So like, okay, now what? Hey, let's talk about how do we actually get this in action? Because we can all talk about it, but then how do we place it in action? So for us, we had a mix of customers and prospects. And so it's kind of building that reputation or that, I'll say equity of how do we make sure we're help our customers be successful. And then they're not shopping rates or nothing. They're just our customer forever. So we're kind of in that part where we're starting to make those calls to do. So we're in the middle of it. So I don't know if that's a very good, I can't give you 100% results, but everybody loved the seminars. And then, I had a guy, I had people coming in. It's like, I really thank you for sending me the book and just doing some stuff like that. So, and in some of our smaller communities, we did one. We had a guy who wrote the book, like 13 ways to kill your community.
Oh,
is kind of the opposite.
What
Basically, how to kill your community is like, let's not participate in our local community and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that was well received in some of those communities because, they're staring at, things aren't like they used to be because of, some hard trends in life. And so we've had some pretty good feedback on doing some stuff like that. So I don't know if that kind of relates to what you're thinking, but.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I've got firsthand knowledge. I know the amount of commitment that you guys have at Dream First putting into the community and doing your events and whatnot. And I think it's awesome. So I was glad you were able to join us and share some thoughts. So what about others? Focus groups, surveys, feedback. I've heard, net promoter score is kind of a dying metric. Another, like, I can't remember where I saw this, but it was like, the difference between satisfaction and engagement and what is a true predictor of customer longevity, and measuring just customer satisfaction really doesn't guarantee that the client's going to stay with you long term. You need to engage them in your business and get them doing things with you, opening the emails, attending events, being part of your social activity, showing up to webinars or community activities. The engagement of your customers is way more important than measuring how satisfied are you on a scale of 1 to 10, because somebody can be satisfied, but engagement is where their heart gets brought into the equation and the longevity is going to be there. So anybody shifting their goals beyond customer satisfaction into trying to figure out ways to engage their customers more so. Thoughts on that?
I think you're 100% right. It's just trying to figure out what the right thing is for each person.
Yeah.
Is really tough. And for us, sometimes if you focus on certain groups of businesses, you can kind of get kind of close, and then you can, but part of it's kind of getting involved enough to know and try to figure those out. But I think you're 100% right on what the goal needs to be is,
Yep.
They just see you as a resource and you're not just a bank, right?
Yep. Any other thoughts on that one? All right. Maybe it's time for the next topic. Who's got the next topic? And Andrew, thanks for tossing that out there and sparking some dialogue. Josh, I'm going to throw you, I don't want to say under the bus. Maybe I'll throw you a bone. You usually have some really good ideas and some conversation starters. You got anything rattling around up there for this evening's happy hour?
We can talk about recruiting, I suppose. That's kind of a hot button issue for me right now, and all the stuff that we're working on where I am. Yep. I'm not sure how it's impacted the financial space so much, but constantly looking for new people where I'm at, and just any successes that people have had or any good sources for potential leads, or if there's any companies out there. We're using regularly a company called Randall Riley, and they do recruiting across all kinds of different industries to help drive leads. And their reporting is very, very powerful now, to the point where if an ad is displayed and someone applies and we can match that hire back, we can see where they were, when they clicked on the ad, where the ad was if they clicked on. It's very powerful and very cool, but always looking for new ideas in that realm.
So I talked to a lot of bankers, and I know staffing is one of those perpetual challenges, being able to pay enough, finding the right people. There's that constant. I've talked to a couple of bankers that they were interviewing for tellers, and the question was, well, is this a remote job? Can I work from home? And so just not having even an understanding of what's involved in some of the jobs. So who's got some thoughts to share as it relates to staffing and talent acquisition and any strategies or tools that you're using? Anyone?
Don't let everyone volunteer at once.
Yeah. I'll say there's always been some success, at least when I was at the bank, with referrals. And if you could get your employees to bring a friend or a family member in, usually those are ones where they're not going to bring somebody in that they think's a bozo, because then that's going to look bad, and then they're not going to want to work with them. So love you, but I don't want to work with you kind of thing. So let them do some of that preliminary filtering for you, and then offering up some sort of a monetary incentive where you make a referral, they last 30 days, they get hired, you get $100, you get whatever. And then if they last 90 days, you get or I've heard up to $500 by bringing in employees that end up working out well, and using your own staff as a recruiter, because the hope is they're happy working there. They enjoy the environment. They can speak to it better than you can. And a friend of someone that's working there is maybe going to be seeing that referral a little bit more credible than, of course, an executive or a hiring manager or an HR ad, because you're always going to put your best foot forward and make sure it's shiny and perfect and everybody's happy. So I don't know if you've tried any of that, going back into your existing employee base, offering up incentives for people to come in and bring people on that are going to last long term. Those are some of the ideas that pop into my head. Have you tried that?
So Eric, I don't have any suggestions, but one thing that I want to do is just add to the energy for this topic. There are more people in the United States turning 65 in 2025 than have ever turned 65 before. And we will not have this many people turning 65 until 30 years from now. So I posted this on LinkedIn, and somebody said it's like the rat going through the snake, because it's this big group of people retiring. And this is the year.
He's calling all you 65-year-old people rats. I want to make sure. Got to keep an eye on Neil. Sometimes his analogies. We've already talked about.
Well, thankfully, I'm not exactly turning 65 this year. I've already turned 65. But the point is real, and that is that we're going to have a tremendous amount of people moving into retirement, and that's going to open up a lot of new job needs. And so I think it's a huge issue. I don't have any good solutions, but I'll just add some energy to the issue.
Well, and that's, the older potential employee, sometimes they're seen, not marketable. They're old. They don't know technology. They're entrenched in their ways. They can't be taught new things. The workforce is aging, and with reskilling and other sorts of ways to help, you've got some other positives with that generation or that workforce segment.
Yes.
That may be a possibility. If you're looking for hardcore physical labor, maybe a 65-year-old isn't necessarily the target that you're looking for. But don't discount that. So Andrew posted another comment. So Andrew, you are my little vignette guinea pig is the right word that I'm looking for. So keep those great comments and I'll keep throwing you up there with your picture and everything. But internal referral program as well, online recruiting tools, some print ads. So good stuff there. Thank you.
And to the point of everybody kind of aging out of the workforce, jobs are going to be that much harder to come by. And I really think that, and this is self-serving to a point, marketing will become a stronger tool for those attempting to seek employment through different companies. Because just as we right now recruit customers for whatever service that businesses are selling or product, it'll be used the same way to get people to join the organization.
Yep, absolutely. So I figured I'd give Andrew some company. So there's Craig throwing up a comment as well as it relates. So the graduated or the tiered money area for tenure, sticking on mentorship, how do you teach someone that job, upskill as opposed to replace? One of the other things, and I thought you were going to go down this road, Josh, is there going to be the decrease in the number of jobs because of artificial intelligence and automation and agents being able to do that? So we're not going to need as many people because agents can work. One person can do multiples. It's like back when you had, the Industrial Revolution and we had machinery and assembly lines that we could use instead of individuals. One person could do so much more with the technology and going from steam to electric and all this other stuff. I think we're going to see somewhat of a renaissance in that area over the next year or so as well. So there's going to be some talent that just is outsourced because it's not needed, or they choose to move and then they can't find another job because there's just not openings. So, and I know some of those, like what you've got as it relates to drivers and trucks and, labor that really can't be automated per se is going to be a while before, Elon generates, delivery trucks and other sorts of things that we don't need humans for. But that's going to create another interesting employment dynamic over the next couple of years.
I agree with you.
Unless you've got an order of Elon Musk, Tesla, garbage trucks on order. I don't know. I haven't seen that one come out on X yet. So maybe he's waiting on that one.
I think that the most valuable skill that people are going to need to learn or have going forward in any kind of office setting is going to be prompt engineering. I think that most have no idea what that is whenever you say it right now, which is unfortunate. But I think it's as AI becomes more and more prevalent, especially as it starts to move more to people's phones and they're searching through that more. Your SEO strategies are going to shift, and the way that you talk to your phone, if you will, is going to change too. And hopefully you can be top of mind through whatever strategy you're attempting to employ.
Yeah. And I would even go so far as to take prompt engineering and give it another name that's maybe not as scary and just refer to it as critical thinking. Because at the end of the day, a really good prompt is being generated by someone who has been able to understand the problem and can think critically about how to derive or the process to derive a solution. I may not know what the solution is, but I have an understanding of what the items are that need to be solved. And if you can work that into the prompt or the process or the custom GPT or whatever it is, that critical thinking is going to be part of a successful prompt. And I think that's one of the things that the educational industry is going to be struggling with, because there's a lot of people now that are on the educational side that don't understand this, that are fearful of AI and prompts because they don't know how to use it. And there's people that are going to school just like, hey, let's go to the teak house and figure out which one of the blue books are available in the files so I can get that and ace my psychology test. People are looking for shortcuts to be able to blow through college, and focusing on that critical thinking of how do you think through a problem and a solution and the various stages. I don't think AI is going to take that away. And if you miss that, you're going to have some serious hurt. So I think that plays into that prompt engineering, certainly.
I agree. It reminds me of a post I saw just the other day. It was of a teacher saying, most schools don't even have a cell phone policy. He had a kid in his class with the meta glasses on, and he was looking like he was talking to himself, and he was completing his science homework using AI through his glasses.
Right here, baby.
Oh my gosh. I just bought my husband those, and it is insane, the meta glasses.
Of course, now I'm hearing that the next version of meta glasses are going to have screens that you'll be able to see, and Google's got, so, they may end up on my shelf of discarded technology right next to my Palm Pilot, my BlackBerry, and my iPod Nano. Who knows? But you got to do it. So I'm going to say, holy crap, it is 6:01. We have fully, and I might say rather successfully navigated the first LinkedBanker Happy Hour without audio only. It has been actually pretty cool seeing everybody come up on stage and join me. Although I don't know if coming up on stage is maybe the right term anymore. So I got to figure out the terminology there. But it has been really cool to see you guys and gals, and I appreciate you coming on. This will now serve as a recording. It's going to publish to LinkedIn. It's going to publish to Facebook. It's going to publish directly to our YouTube channel. So you'll be able to go back to it. You can share it. And the hope is for February and March, we can generate more buzz and get more people, because obviously the more ideas, the more people, the more conversation we have, the more valuable it is for everybody. If you're interested in checking out what we're doing at the LinkedBanker and our mentoring community, hop over to the linkbanker.com and just reach out to me if you got questions. We'd love to show you that platform and all the cool stuff we're doing there. But I just want to thank you all for joining our happy hour, for kicking off 2025. This has been absolutely awesome. And I hope to see you all again for our February 1, second Thursday of the month, 5 p.m. Eastern time, right here on Restream. And the next one's going to be even smoother than what today was, I promise. So cool. Enjoy the January and the month ahead, and we'll see you on all the various socials. But thanks again for joining. I appreciate it. Now I need to just figure out where I shut this thing off, but I'm sure I'll end up clicking on it at some point. So see everybody later.
Bye.
Oh, there it is. I think.
Bye.